Hey, how's it going? And today I just wanted to follow up on a video I did on how to make your first quote-unquote fun game in Unreal Engine. And I realized I should have added a spawn component to it so that once the player dies that it comes back to life, and then I'll kind of give you an example of what we're going to create right here. So here's the character, and just imagine the game is there. So that box over in the distance represents, instead of, it's the cube of death, but in my other game it would be the wall of death, one of the spinning doors of death. So you just can imagine that this character is coming along and gets hit by the door, and this is what would happen. You get hit by the door, boom, you're dead, and then you get a message, you sort of died, you have 5 seconds to grieve. And then it starts all over again, and then the game restarts. Of course I would clear that message off of there, but it's kind of a Groundhog Day thing. You're just reliving the same death over and over again. So anyway, I was just going to walk you through this real quick. Okay, so we're ready to start. We're going to go into games, and we're going to go into the blank project here, and we're just going to go create. Just going to take a minute to load up. And like I said, this video is supplementing the other one I did on how to make your first fun game in Unreal Engine, and so this kind of takes off where that left off. So we just got a couple things to do before we get going here. I noticed that if you click on I think it's this one, the skylight, and you hit F, it'll take you right down here to the tiled floor area. But the first thing we're going to do is we're going to bring in our third person content. So we go to blueprint class. No, I'm sorry, that's not right. We're going to go to add feature and third person, and go add to project. Just takes a second to do that, and that all comes in. And then we have to set the world settings. This is important or it won't work. So we got to set our game mode, and then that takes care of that. And so I am just going to know that we need to bring in a player start. So we're going to go player start and just drag that onto the scene right here. And if we click on its details panel, it should be pretty close to the origin, but we're going to set it on the origin exactly. And this thing I know needs to be a little bit above the ground. It can't really be interfering with anything. So we're just going to set it at, I think 150 is good enough. 150 should be good. So the player might drop a little bit when they come into the game, but that's fine. We don't want to intersect it with the ground, especially on the streaming level, but we'll remember that for future reference. So I think we're okay if we hit play. There's our character, and he comes in. Everything seems fine. That's great. Okay, so we'll escape out. And now what we're going to do is, we're looking at that direction. The first thing we're going to do is I want to go ahead and go to the content level, and we're going to right click and create a user interface. And this is just going to be a message, and we're going to call this die message. And this is real simple. We'll double click this, and we're just going to get a canvas panel here. Drag that onto the scene, and then we're just going to get some text. And it says here, size to content, and I go, you seem to be dead. Okay, and we'll hit enter, and we can make the font a little bit bigger, not too much bigger, but just a little bit bigger. And we can then just position this right in the center like that. And just we'll compile and save that, and we're done. So we can close this window out. So that's all saved. And then the next thing we're going to make is we're going to make a cube to stand in for a wall of door of death. So go to blueprint class, we'll go to actor, and I'll just call this cube of death. Oops, death, and we'll double click into it. I'll go ahead and dock this. We'll be coming back to it, but we're going to, oh, I got the die message there. Hold on. New map. Cube of death. Oh, it's, okay, there we go. So what we're going to do is we're going to go add cube, just so we have a visual representation. I'm just turning the scroll wheel there. And then we're going to go to a box, a collision box, We'll just drag that down. It can be on the same level basically. I guess we can make it a child of the cube, so it goes where the cube goes. And then we just want to scale this up. We'll just probably go 2, 2, 2. That should take care of that. And compile and save, and we'll come back to that in a moment. Okay, now most of our work's going to take place in the third person here. So we're going to double click here, and there's actually quite a few little nodes, but it's nothing really complicated. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a custom event, and then we're going to call that. So I'll just explain what's going to happen. So the character will be walking, though perfectly healthy. They're going to hit the cube, and if the cube's going to kill them, as if the door of death were to hit them from the other game. And then when that happens, they're going to fall over dead. There will be a message pop up. The message will go away. Then the character will go away, and then the character will respawn back where the player start is, and the whole thing starts over again. So it's almost like Groundhog Day. So you'll see in just a minute. So here in the blueprint, what we're going to do is we're going to right click and create what's called a custom event. And we're going to call this from the cube. So the cube's going to say, hey, the third person character just touched me, let's kill him. So that's all going to happen here. So we're going to call this, appropriately enough, if I come over here, I can just call this, it's called custom event, but we can call this death event. And there we go. So this is what's going to trigger everything. I don't think we're going to need this, so I can just, then you'll see we're going to just go in a long chain now. So that's our event that we're going to call from the cube of death. And that'll be the last thing we do is make the call, but we're going to complete this process first. So now we're going to look for something called set collision enabled. And this kind of copies what is in that first video that I did already. I'm kind of repeating here. So set collision enabled, and it's on the mesh. And this is important that we have to set this to query in physics or it won't work. And now we're going to drag off from here, and we're going to search for set simulate physics on here, and that's all good. And then we'll just keep going to the right here, and we're dragging to the left, and then we're going to go set physics weight blend here. And this is very important that this be set to 1 or it won't work. And that will cause basically the ragdoll effect to make it look like the person's dead. And that's all wired in, so we don't need to see that anymore. As soon as they fall over dead, I'd like to leave a little bit of a delay in there for a couple seconds before any message appears or anything. So I know people like things to happen really fast, but give us a couple seconds. Someone just died, so let's give us a couple seconds. Now what we're going to do is we're going to call up the message that we just created, this die message. And so we just go create widget and bring that in, and the class is the die message. So that's all set, and then we got to add it to the viewport. So we'll add that to the viewport. Add to viewport and plug this in here, and we keep moving right along here. Now we'll get our message, and I want the message to stay on the screen for a few seconds, so we'll do that too. We'll put another delay in here so the message will stay up on the screen for, let's say, 3 seconds, and then all this is adjustable. And then what we're going to do is we want the message to go away, so then we're going to go remove from parent. I guess I can't pull it from there, can I? I have to pull it from here. So we'll go remove from parent. And I don't really want to make too much of a mess here, so I'll just put a reroute node so we can see what's going on here. And then we're going to come down there like that, and moving right along. Then we're going to now get into the whole business of this tutorial, the meat and potatoes of it. We're going to call destroy actor. So this will make the character go away, And the target is an actor, so we don't need to do anything with that target. Then we want to spawn another new actor, so to make up for the one that just died. So we're going to go to spawn actor from class, and the class is going to be from the BP third person character, and then we need to tell it where to be born at, so we're going to spawn at, and I know we're going to want it at least 150 Z. We want it above the ground. We don't want it under the ground, or it's going to mess up everything. And then we can send, it doesn't have to be exactly where our other one was, our original player start, so we can move it a little bit forward. And that should be good for that. And now this part, we're almost done, believe it or not. We just have to pull off of here and search for the player controller. Or I can't do it that way. Let's just do it this way. I'll right click and get player controller. And then I can search off, pull off from here and go possessed, get possessed. We're going to hook up this into pawn in pawn and keep our execution keep going. And believe it or not, that's it. So I mean, that's quite a few steps, but death is a process after all. So we could simplify this and turn this into functions, but I'll save that for another day. Now we've got our function created and we have a call to it, so let's go compile and save. And we'll go into our cube of death now, and we're going to come over here to box, scroll down here, and on component begin overlap. This will pull us into the event graph. And now we're going to cast to our third person blueprint here so that we can talk to it. So cast to BP third person right here, and we can do other actor is our third person. And now this is all we got to do is make a call to that custom event. We should be able to call it from here. I think I can drag it from here or here. Let's see. It was called death event right here, and we can just plug this in here like this. And that should make the call for us. And then we compile and save. And as far as I know, that's the whole thing. So now if we come in here, let's see what happens. There's my character. Oh, one thing I forgot was I have to drag the cube onto the scene. So here it is, and I'll just put a little ways off in the distance over there. Right there. Okay, now let's do this. So there's our cube, and going along, and kaboom, dead. You seem to be dead. And it starts all over again. It's like Groundhog Day. And that's it. That is it. So I hope you found this helpful. Sometimes I will say this, if you ever get into trouble with this not working or things not appearing, sometimes you have to come into the world settings and disable and then re-enable enable streaming. But as you can see, one thing that's good about this tutorial is you're watching me do it in real time. So you can see that clearly if you follow these steps, it'll work. It should be working the same for you as it is for me. I don't edit these in any way, so sometimes that makes these videos a little bit longer, but you're seeing it exactly as I'm seeing it. So didn't have any problems, and if I did, you'd see them happen as we go. So anyway, take care, have a great day, and I will talk to you next time.